Hello everyone, this is Aliaa Harhour. I'm gonna explain to you today the past continuous tense. First of all, what is past continuous tense? We are going to discuss what does it mean, the form, the keywords, how do we use it, when do we use it, does it have special keywords, how do we form a negative, how do we put a question. We are going to talk about the past continuous tense in general. First of all, let's start with the form. What do I mean by the form? The form means, how does it look like? It looks like a tense that starts with a helping verb and it ends with verb plus ing. What does this mean? What do I mean by a helping verb? A verb that doesn't give meaning. The helping verb that we have here is was or were. As we have said before in the past simple tense, was comes with the subject I and he and she and it. Where comes with the subjects they, we, and you. Then I have something called a helping verb, a main verb, What do I mean by a main verb? A main verb is the verb that gives the meaning. This is the verb plus ing means the main verb. What do I mean again by a main verb? A verb that gives the meaning. When I say she was studying, she was studying yesterday at 9. Yesterday at 9. Look at the form. She was studying. What is this was? This is the helping verb. What is studying? This is the main verb. The main verb is the verb that gives the meaning of the sentence. It takes ing, and before the ing verb we have was or were. And we said again, was comes with I, the subject I, he, she, and it. Where comes with the subjects they, we, and you. This is how do we form the past continuous tense. This is idea number 1. Idea number 2 comes the usage. What do I mean by the usage? When do we use the past continuous tense? The past continuous tense, from the meaning, from the name, it is happening. It's not happening now, it's happening in the past. What do I mean by in the past? The action started and ended in the past. So, if the action started and ended in the past, does it mean that it is past simple tense? No. It is a past continuous one, which is the action started at a certain time in the past and it takes a long time. What do I mean by long time? The past continuous depends on the idea of duration. What do I mean by duration? Duration means mudda. The duration the action takes place in, which is what? Look at this example. I was playing a game when my friend called. I was playing a game when my friend called. Is this one action? No, they are two actions happening nearly at the same time. One action happened and another one comes and interrupts. What do I mean by the word interrupts? Interrupts means cut. قطعته. What does this mean again? I was playing a game. This is an action that takes a long time in the past. So this is the idea of focusing on duration. What do I mean by duration? مدة طويلة, a long duration. I was studying and then in the middle of in the middle of the game, my friend called. There was a phone call from my friend. So my friend called, this is another action, but it doesn't take time. When the phone rings, it takes simply a minute or a couple of minutes. So it means that whenever we are talking about past continuous tense, either we are focusing on the idea of an action that takes a long time in the past, or two actions happening nearly at the same time. One cuts the other, or one interrupts another. واحد قطع التاني. What do I mean by this? I was eating when my friend came. Eating, the action that takes a long time. My friend came, the action which is the short one that takes a couple of minutes or maybe a second. My friend came in a couple of minutes, but I started eating and I went on eating for a long time. This means a past continuous action. Let's move to another point. The following point is, how do I know that this is past continuous? We usually know that a certain tense is known by a certain meaning via or from the idea of a keyword. Let's move to another point, which is the keywords. What is a keyword? Small word that helps me to know whether this tense is a past one, a past continuous, a past simple. The main keywords for the past continuous tense are the following: while, when, as, and just as. Let's take an example for each. For example, while I was studying, my uncle came. Again, while I was studying, my uncle came. How many actions are there in the sentence? There are 2 actions. While I was studying, my keyword is called here while. While I was studying, what happened? My uncle came. It means that there is a long action, as we have just clarified in the graph. في long action وفي another short action. Where is the long action? I was studying or my uncle came? The long action is I was studying. This is, we call it long action. Where is the short action? My uncle came. This is the short action. What happened here? The short action cuts the long action. Again, the short action, which is, if this is my timeline, and we are talking here about now, what happened before now is called the past. So this part is past. So it means that I was studying. It takes a long time here. This is the colored one here. This is I was studying. This action is was studying. And then at a certain point, my uncle came. The action here is interrupted, or action اتقطع هنا by my uncle. So whenever I find the keyword while, I put after while the long action. Again, whenever I see or I find in my sentence the keyword while or as, I follow it by the long action, which is was or were plus the verb in ing. Do we have another use? Yes, we have more than one use. Let me start with the uses here. Okay, use number 1, we use the past continuous tense to talk about an action that takes a long time. Is it all the time I find while and when and as and just as? No. Most probably you find these keywords, but sometimes if I'm talking about a certain action that started yesterday and I want to talk about an action in between that takes a long time but it was not interrupted. For example, she was studying last Monday for her exam. Yesterday was a hard day for me. For example, let's start like this. We are talking about a certain girl and she had exams. So yesterday was a tough day for May. She was studying last Monday for her exams. Do we have a keyword here? I don't have a keyword here. Why? Because I'm not saying that a certain action was cut or interrupted by another one. I'm saying that the action which is studying, it takes a long time in the past. So is it a must that I find the keyword? No. Sometimes if it is just one action, I don't find the keyword. Again, if I have one action which takes a long time, I'm focusing again on the idea of duration or the idea of long time. If I'm talking about an action that takes a long time in the past, I'm using past continuous. They are not 2 actions. But in case I'm talking about the idea of 2 actions, we use the past continuous tense when I'm talking about 2 actions. happened in the past and they interrupted one another. What do I mean by interrupted one another? It means that one cuts the other. Again, I have here two important words. Past continuous with two actions. Here we move to another one, which is using two actions. At that time, I have to find the keyword. Two actions, they happened both in the past and they interrupted each other. The word interrupted, if you have a problem with this word, we can substitute it with the word cut. Two actions, one cuts the other. Again, what does this mean? So let's take an example. As she was watching TV, her dad arrived from work. As she was watching TV, again we have here two actions. As she was watching TV, her dad arrived from work. Where is the long action? Dad arrived, or she was watching? Of course, dad arrived. When you arrive somewhere or you came in somewhere, it takes a minute, maybe a second. But you watch TV in a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, maybe sometimes you watch a movie in it takes 3 hours or 2 hours or whatsoever. So watching TV is the long action, and before the idea of watching I use a keyword which is as. Again, before was watching I put a keyword which is as. So it means that as is the same as while. As is the same as while. As and while are followed by long actions which are both past continuous, and the short action follows which comes in the past simple tense. As plus the long action, and the other part of the sentence, then this is followed by short action. In this sentence we have the word the action arrived. The short action comes in the past simple. Sorry. Let's take another example. Let's take another example with another usage. We use the past continuous when two long actions, both are long, they happened in the same time in the past. What does this mean? Do we have other keywords? No, we are talking about the same idea with keywords, but this time we have two actions, but the two actions, both of them are long and they happened simultaneously. What do I mean by simultaneously? يعني at the same time. Two actions الاثنين بيحصلوا في نفس الوقت. What does this mean? يعني sometimes, for example, she's cooking, and at the same time her boy is playing. So both actions happened in the past. We are not going to use is, we are going to use was. So as she was cooking, for example, this is not written in front of you, but just an extra example. As she was cooking, her boy was watching TV. Both of them are long. Nothing interrupted the other. They happened simultaneously. What do I mean by simultaneously again? Yani at the same time. So, for example, the example that we have here in front of us, both of them were playing video games. They were playing video games as their mom was cooking. So, do we have here an action that interrupts another? No, we don't have anything that interrupts another. They happened nearly at the same time. Both of them are long. So I can never use one in the past simple and the other in the past continuous. At that time, I have no other option except for using both of them in the past continuous. And I have a linking word here, which is as, or one of the keywords, which is as. Can I use when? No. If both actions are long, I either use as, while, or just as. Again, if both actions are long, I never use when. I use as I was, for example, as I was running, My friend was studying. Both of us were doing something. Each one of us is in another home. So as I was running, as I was playing, as I was sleeping, my brother was playing video games. Both of us were doing long actions simultaneously, يعني at the same time. We use as, while, and just as. Can we use when? No, we can never use when. Why? We have a certain reason. What is this reason? The reason is whenever I have the keyword which is called when, again, whenever I have the keyword which is called when, it is always followed by the short action. Again, when is followed by the short action. So whenever I find the keyword which is called when, it is always followed by the short action. What do I mean by short action? Do you remember? The short action was past simple tense. This is, we call it the short action. Whenever I find while or just or as, or sometimes we have something called just as or just as, they are all the time followed by the long action. Do you remember what do I mean by long action? Yes, the long action is the one that has was or were plus verb in ing, which is the past continuous. Again, the long action is the past continuous. The short action is the past simple. What does this mean? We can say, for example, when my friend came, I was sleeping. Again, when my friend came, I was sleeping. So it means that when I find while, just, or just as, the long action comes right away. When I find when, I use the short action, which is the past simple tense. For example, grandma shouted while the kids were fighting. Again, grandma shouted while the kids were fighting. When grandma shouted, have a look here. When grandma shouted, the kids were fighting. So take care. When do I use when? When do I use as? When do I use while? And when do I use just as? Let's have a look at the following examples. Here we have a couple of girls. They are doing something, and we have another person coming, I don't know, from somewhere. So when Sam space we space a drink, we need to use verb arrive and verb have. Again, we need to use verb arrive and verb have. So where is the long action? Can we say when Sam was arriving? No, Sam arrived. Why? If I have the keyword which is when. Again, I have the keyword which is when, and whenever I find when, I put past simple tense. When Sam arrived, we, what do you think? Since I started my sentence with the when, with the word when, and then the short action, which is the past simple tense, we were doing something. Another action was taking place, which is we were having a drink. Again, was or were plus verb, main verb in ing. Were, because we have here the word we, and then having, whenever I find a verb ending in e, again, whenever I find a verb ending in e, like verb have, before I add the ing, I cancel the e, and I add right away an ing. Before I have my ing in the verb, I have to cancel the e whenever we have an e. Otherwise, we don't cancel any letters except for the e. We double sometimes, but we never cancel. Let's have a look at the following example. She, her, there's a lady in the shop, in a shop. She, her, in a shop, use verb work. When I last space her, use the verb see. What do you think? Where is the long action and where is the short action? Where is the long action and where is the short action? Working takes a long time or seeing somebody takes a long time? I think working. She was working. It means that the long action is working and the short action is see. So can I put it see? No, I need to put one verb. Again, I need to put one verb in the past continuous and another verb in the past simple. What do you think? Which comes in the past continuous? The one that takes a long time, which is verb work. Let's have a look here. She was working in a shop when I last saw her. I have my keyword when. Whenever I find the keyword when, I put right away without thinking past simple tense. Again, let's say this the same information once again. Whenever I find my keyword when, right away I follow it with past simple tense. Two actions interrupted one another. She was working. It takes duration. What do I mean by duration? Duration means past continuous. What do I mean by past continuous? Past continuous means was or were plus the main verb in ing. So, she was working in a shop when I last saw her. The action was interrupted, so I use the word saw, not see, in the past simple tense. And let's go to another example. I have here a boy and a girl. Tom is doing something and Alice is doing another thing. One of them is reading and the other one painting. Which action interrupts the other? Is there a short action and a long action? What do you think? I have here, first of all, my keyword, which is while. While Tom, if I say while Tom, we said before that whenever I find the word while, I use after it a long action. So, Tom is not painting, Tom is reading. So, I will start using while Tom plus a long action, which is reading. I have to put it in the past continuous. So, before the word reading, I have to put verb to be. Using verb to be in the past, Tom is a he, so I'm going to use was. So, let's start. While Tom was reading, can I say while Tom was reading, Alice painted? She painted a certain kind of a picture. For example, we have here a flower. She painted a flower in a minute, which is it's illogical. It's حاجة مش منطقية يعني إن هي هترسم وردة in 1 minute. So it means that the second action is a long one. So while Tom was reading, Alice was painting. This is the case that we talked about, that sometimes in the past continuous form, I use two long actions. They happen simultaneously or at the same time. So it means that the same time she was painting, the boy was reading. So while Tom was reading, Alice was painting. Let's move to another example. We have here a photo of a lady and there is a bag. في verb كده اسمه verb to pack. To pack. What is to pack? يعني حضر الشنط. So, the lady is sitting on her bag or she is packing. So, as he, her, he or she, I cannot, okay, maybe this is a he. As he, something, pack, verb pack, I help him pack his case. So, as it means you can never pack your bags or you can never put your clothes in a bag in 1 minute. Again, it needs at least half an hour. So as he, what do you think? I have the keyword here which is called as. So after as, do we use a long action or a short action? We use long actions, which is past continuous, We have the subject he. I am going to use was and not were, and I am going to use the verb pack. So as he was packing, I put was or were plus the main verb that gives the meaning in ing. As he was packing, I helped him pack his case. I just came in and helped. Maybe I put a piece of clothes, or I help him with something, bringing something, fetching something. So I helped him. Packing takes a long time, but helping the guy or helping him takes a short time, maybe 4 or 5 or 10 minutes. Let's move to another example. Another example here, we have a picture of a man, or maybe a man or a woman, and he has a bag right in front of him, and he is putting his stuff or his clothes inside the bag. So we call this verb to pack. So as he something, I need to use the verb pack. I help him pack his case. So I have a keyword which is called as. And we said before that whenever I find the keyword as, I use after it the long action. So what is the long action? The long action comes in past continuous. So the keyword as. So as he, I need to use verb pack in the past continuous form. So as he was packing. Why do I use was and not were? Because we have here he. So as he was packing, I helped him pack his case. Why do we use here helped? Because it takes a short time. The guy was packing his bag in at least 30 minutes, and I helped in a couple of minutes, or 1 minute, or maybe 3 minutes. The action was interrupted in the middle. He took a long time packing, and I came in and I helped him with maybe putting a t-shirt or a jacket inside the bag, and the action was over.